tied into the events that took place in Charlottesville several days ago, this video is going to be about how nowadays way too many people on both sides of the aisle paint the other side or any side with a broad brush. Both extremes have seemed to overtake in the conversation, and is the only conversation that the media seems to entertain. Both extremes follow their ideologies with dogma and absolutes. They both also go against core Western values of freedom of liberty, speech, and the freedom of the individual. They both want to end what makes the Western world great in the first place. And the first group I'm going to address is going to be the alt-right, the neo-Nazis, and the Ku Klux Klan. These are people who are on the far right. They're on the fringes of society, and they're extremists. And several days ago, they held a rally in Charlottesville, and it turned violent. I already made a video about this. I'll link it down below for my full thoughts on the incident alone. But the point I'm going to make here is that these people are far-right lunatics. They are actual racists. Not that just because you wear a certain hairstyle or liked a certain movie or video game racists. Actual racists who do not like people of color because they are people of color. They are actual racists who think they are the superior race. And these people who have seemed to have gotten it in their heads that minorities are the cause of all their woes, they have painted a broad picture of their opposition, and they see all the people of color or a certain religion as a problem and as a bad person. You don't follow my ideology, therefore you're against me. And this way of collectivist thinking just leads to division and potential violence. Their way of thinking is regressive, and it just stunts the growth of human progress. And these far-right loons use broad strokes to describe other types of people to fit their narrative and their agenda, even though they don't realize it's the same tactics as the regressive left uses. And they implement the same principles, and they practice the same principles as them. And these people espouse a white identity. They operate on identity politics, attack their ideology, you attack them personally, and they also have silly ideas as diversity equals white genocide, which is completely ridiculous and should be scorned at every turn. This is an extreme position to have, of course, but this type of ideology seems to be stemmed from broad brush thinking. They paint minorities as a problem, therefore they are immediately hostile and suspicious of anyone of color. It's ridiculous, and I detest it absolutely. And should these alt-righters, should this ideology be shut down? Yes, but not by censorship or violence. They need to be defeated in the realm of ideas. They need to be shut down in debate, be polite, and use the power of good ideas to use as a mirror they have to look at themselves and their bad ideas, and hopefully they can reconsider. And now on the far left, you have third-wave feminism, social justice warriors, and douchebag groups like Antifa. SJWs are the people who are just as rigid in their ideology as the far right, and many have made the point that these SJWs follow the same principles as the religious right that used to dominate the social and political discourse in the United States back in the day. And these radicals on the far left broadly paint anyone who does not agree with them as a racist, sexist, misogynist, Nazi, transphobe, or homophobe, any of that type of shit. And these words have just become buzzwords, and they have lost all true meaning. And these left-wing radicals, just like many of the right-wing loons that I've discussed before, both sides live in an alternate reality. They both have developed a false narrative, and they follow it with religious dogma in their pampered, entitled worlds that they want society to conform to them rather than the other way around. They want to force people to conform to their ideology, even if that means through violence. And these third-wave feminists and SJWs have seemed to be under the false impression that they are oppressed somehow, and anyone who disagrees with them are part of the patriarchy. Or a rape apologist. They'll just call you a rape apologist, sexist, homophobe, just right to your face, just for disagreeing with them. They also are known to tackle the real hard issues like sexy women in video games, going after gamers, claiming that their sex is just because they like a certain game, or that they're racist just for like a certain game. Oh my goodness. And claiming we are in a rape culture, even when it's illegal and highly looked down upon in Western society, unlike Islamic cultures and countries, but they don't want to talk about that. The next group of SJWs I want to get into is Antifa, which is short for anti-fascism, and they promote their advocacy by causing riots and forcing censorship upon somebody with an opposing viewpoint like Milo Yiannopoulos, Ann Coulter, Lauren Southern, and Ben Shapiro, and they've done it in the past at Berkeley University. And I just find it hilarious that they're anti-fascists, but they are the first ones to try to silence someone with an opposing viewpoint, something that goes against their ideology, which is something fascists do, by the way. And to the main point of this video, both of these far left and far right extremes paint broad pictures about groups of people that are not true, and they never seem to support it by evidence, and they want to violate the rights of the individuals of said group that they are opposed to. Both of these extremes are trying to set a dangerous precedent, that it's okay to cause physical harm to someone with an opposing viewpoint and wanting to discriminate based on race, gender, or religion, and what have you. All these ideologies, all that they have done has created violence. It's only have done violence, drawing suspicions about one another. And like I said before, these people want other people to conform to their ideology. They want to force people into it. And both sides do not realize that's not how a democracy works. That's not how the Western world works. And that's how it's never going to ever work. And I can't believe I have to say it, but discriminating to stop discrimination will not fix anything. And these blanket statements and these blanket actions has only caused the divide to worsen. It is up to us, the reasonable people who stand up for freedom of the individual, who stand up for freedom of speech and Western values. It doesn't matter if you're liberal, conservative, libertarian, whatever you may be, whatever political spectrum you fall under. We need to speak out against these far extremes and promote the real ideas of Western values, to promote the real ideas of actual freedom and liberty, and freedom of the individual. That's what Western values are. It's what they're all about. It's what makes the United States and the Western world so great in the first place. And we have to speak up now before these two extremes become the normal.